Hello, welcome back to my channel, Tarot with AnneMarie. And how are you this lovely Tuesday evening for another combination tarot? Swords can be incredibly difficult because you can feel their energy. Of course, they are all linked to communication, the air sign family. But swords, as we go through them, can have loss, sorrow, heartbreak, a past, things that we find difficult to deal with, and we have had happening to us, and we've also had Mercury in retrograde. Are you at all interested in learning about tarot? Because that's what this channel is all about, learning all about tarot. I am showing you how we can read the cards when we combine the card that we've been learning, which was the Three of Swords last week. So that's what we're going to kick off with. A little reminder about the Three of Swords. Here we go, and then I'll be back in a minute. And I am back. So we've got some meanings, we've got some feelings, we've got some background information last week. We're going to look at some of the 22 major cards and fuse it together with Three of Swords. Three of Swords, we know, is a card of the past. We're dealing with the stress and how it feels. Three of Swords is what's happened and the post-traumatic stress, if you like. I think that's a very good way of putting it. How it affects us after the shock has kicked in. And it is inevitable because you know what? Good times go into not so great times, and not so great times go into something that's better for us, as long as we are not resisting change and we are allowing that healing to take place. So the World card would tell us with the Three of Swords that in fact we've already healed from the situation. The healing's complete, the past is complete. I always say, let's ask a question. Let's look at career, we might as well stick with that. Completion, you completed, and hard times have been around you. This could be not so much that it was heartbreaking, but it might have been, it was heartbreaking to complete this. A lot of sacrifices that mentally you've had to go through in order to get to that completion. And sometimes when we're in a place where we do need to complete, it can take everything from us. If we've been on a mission to get to something, where we're building something, it can take everything out of us. But there's a change, allowing our body to say that completions happen, and we can let those thoughts roll, because they're not just going to suddenly stop because we've stopped. Let's do a different one. The person's asking the question, what's going to happen at work? I've been feeling a bit worried, a bit anxious. You're getting two cards here from two different elements. We've got the element of Swords, of course, and we've also got the element of the Moon, and that is associated zodiac sign of Pisces. Remember, the Three of Swords is the mental process. Let's assume that this has come up in the position of the physical self. And the Moon card is a card of teaching us to look deep inside ourselves. And there's an emphasis upon the emotions being disturbed because they are going within. It can cause illusions and delusions. What I mean by that is, if you go for a walk during the day down a street, try walking down that street 3 a.m. in the morning with no street lighting, and see if you feel as content and happy and as peaceful. You're probably much more heightened in your awareness that you've got to watch out and keep smart, not be vulnerable. And a car could come along and no street lighting, may not see you. You become more heightened in awareness, where you've got to use that common sense, which is trying to protect you. The trouble is, the Moon card's coming up when it's not like that, and we are blowing things up out of proportion of all sorts of scenarios that may be imagined or are illusions or delusions. They're all relevant, of course. However, we've got to watch that we're not delusional or emotional about the past at work. That Moon card there, just heightening those senses. How could it affect them? It could make them feel a bit paranoid about the past, make them feel a bit emotional about it, make them feel that things were blown up out of proportion. The Moon card is something where you tread with sensitivity and you say to this person, look, what was going on in the past? How did it feel to you? Base it on Three of Swords is about communication. How is communication? But over and over, there's a history here of feeling as if emotionally I wasn't very settled. So how's this going to help them with that question of work? We can look at that past and say, logic tells you you were being sensitive, but the reality that's based on here could be something where I didn't feel that people were kind. So what we'd probably need to do here is pull a few more cards in a few different places. Let's say this came up in the workplace. Then we'd really have to look at the fact that they are probably feeling all sorts of illusions and delusions when it comes to communication with other people. They're sensitive. They are perhaps not really seeing the logic of the situation, and it's not just a one-off. How do we know it's not just a one-off? Because it happens over and over in the past, because we've got 3 swords telling us at least 3 times in the past that this has happened. If we are aware of something, we can change it. So you may not be able to pull a job out for them and say, oh, it's all going to be fantastic and your status and reputation is going to go through the roof, or you won't have to work, you've got so much money you don't need to. Wouldn't we all like to hear that? That's probably not going to be happening for too many of us. Healing, hope, your wishes coming true, based upon what you've done in the past, based upon the fact that the past is finished. You're moving forwards into a different community. Should you stay or should you go? That's going to be your choice. Look at that star card. Keep moving in your community. Keep flowing. There's better things coming in. This isn't what you're wishing for where you are right now. What you're wishing for will be achieved based on your experience in the past. Based on the second card that I've got on the screen, obviously, the 3 of Swords. There's something better for you. It's what you've been wishing for, it's what you've been hoping for, it's part of your journey, it's part of your healing, it's something that you really aspire to. Community work is really good for you because Star card is community, but it's beyond this. Can you see the Star card there with the little ripples? That represents the fact that because of what you've done in the past with work, it's going to have a big effect. Can you see what I mean? So let's put this into context of a work question one more time. What's happening for me at work? There are changes. Whatever's been going on in the past will change. If there have been difficulties, those difficulties are changing. That's behind you. So there's a transformation. But there are no pentacles, which would be something that's already tangible, materialized. There are no emotions here saying how much you want this, apart from the Death card. And the Death card is telling us the background effects. I think you emotionally have been leading up to this in your life and your emotions and what your actions are. And there's been a change in the way you've thought about things. And yeah, it is a change. Whatever's happened in the past is changing. So whatever the results were in the past quite easily might be more difficult. If it was more difficult in the past, it's going to be easier. So the transformation of how you're thinking about this, that's what's changing. But it's not materializing as such in just these 2 cards. We would need to do a spread and look at that very differently. Transformations going on at work based on the past, and the difficulties of the past have now been navigated. You may not feel it trying to get over and recharge your batteries, having come out of the war and been battered in the battle. So of course you're not feeling it. Don't expect people to be on a high with the fact, oh, what's the matter with you? It's all finished now, you should be really happy. We can't just switch. We can try and we can encourage that switch, and it will happen, and then we'll feel it, and we'll feel it with great intensity. If we've got the Death card, because that's attached to Scorpio, which is intensity all the way with our feelings and our emotions. I want to do the fusion of the Temperance card and the 3 of Swords. And the Temperance card is one of those cards where we are looking to moderate what's happened. We've got to learn from the past And we've got to be able to acknowledge how it felt, the upset, the pain, because that's probably current. But we are moving into a place where we are balancing and trying to moderate our emotions. And probably the Temperance card is very much about knowledge and higher learning because it links with Sagittarius. Temperance card, going back to that, is talking about moderating things. And what it would mean here is, as you grow, the experience of the Three of Swords in the past and its heartbreak, although it's finished and it's over and it's happened again and again, you're treading with caution. You're keeping one foot on land and very gently sticking your toes or your foot very gently into the water. It means that we're being very grounded in our approach, i.e. 1 foot on land is being grounded. Testing new waters is emotionally, very carefully feeling how this feels for you till you manage to temper things and make it a bit stronger and protect yourself and grow. If you're willing to learn about tarot, just keep watching this, because if you go on my YouTube channel, you'll find all sorts of lessons and tutorials there. And I have a lot of experience and it needs to be shared and passed on to people who want it. And it's all been collated over many years. I've taught this to people. Set up psychic platform many years ago, and up until recently I was running that and providing people with work, psychics, tarot readers, astrologers. So we all had work, we all had clients. It was all rather marvellous, but the teaching side of me needed to be allowed to grow. And although I still read professionally every day with my clients, I want to be able to support people, how to put things together. How do we get what I was talking about with Temperance? Temperance is a card that relates to the zodiac sign. Sagittarius is all about higher learning. It's also about the fact that it's long distance travel and it's about going for it. It's fire. Fire doesn't sit on the fence. It's fast. The energy of that card is lovely, but the energy in that card is also showing, despite that, there is a lot of guidance with the angel wings there. There is tempering there between the two cups of water being poured, and the water represents our emotions. And we've got the water in the pool below, again our emotions, but coming in, the water's fine. You'll be the one to judge how much you go in and when you go in and if you go in. That's what you've got to do. You've got to keep your foot on land. You're not there yet. You want to take the time. That's what Temperance is all about. If we fuse that with the Three of Swords, we're saying, why are you like that? Because of the past. The logic from the past, again and again and again, you took a bit of a battering, communication-wise, again and again, and let's liken this to work. So you can move on from the past, but you go at your own pace and you make sure that you are stronger, you're tempering it, balancing it very carefully, very gently, going with your emotions, respecting yourself and how that feels. If you want to know more, go onto my website, have a look at this. I've got a free birth chart calculator for you, natal chart. Go and have a look at it, go and learn about yourself. That's a great place to start with tarot. Why? Tarot is to do with a lot of astrology, whether you pick it up or you don't. Knowing astrology, we all know our sun sign. Some of us might know our moon. Go and find out much more about who you are by going onto my website for free and finding out about the interpretations all about your sign. Look at what you get. This is absolutely free. And the reason I've put it there is it's so exciting to find out how you tick. And that's what tarot is about. It helps us. Start with that. What does all of this mean? And if you don't know, come on here and keep learning with me. I'm doing a little every week. This is where you can find the courses. And they're video courses on my website. You don't go outside of the website. It's all under my control. And there's reasons for that, and that keeps you safe and me safe. You can look at it any time. Once you've finished it, go back to it, whenever. And learn at your own pace. It's there, it's yours. It's on the website, and I've broken it all down so you can look at things in the way that you want to. Don't overwhelm yourself. Take your time. If you just take the time I can take you from beginners up to professional standard, where it can be your bread and butter because you're good at what you do and you want to be a professional at what you do. And I'm back. Now look at the one I've got on the screen for you this time. All right, the devil. What does this combination mean? Again, let's say somebody's asking about work. How am I going to get on at work? What's going on? And at the end of being puppeteered by other people, or feeling that you were stuck with the devil you know is over. You've broken that pattern. And the pattern here was the mental pattern of feeling in a place of emotional bondage, because that's what the devil card means. But you've mentally broken free from that. What do I mean? Your thinking's changed. It's happened so much, you're probably going, you know what, I've got nothing to lose by doing something different. And if it is worse than it was, well, I can change it. Something has happened, and the Three of Swords is saying, despite how difficult it may have been for you mentally or in communication here, that something has changed, and that bond or that horrible feeling of being enslaved to somebody that's probably been playing a few mind games, or their communication is being cruel, not very endearing, no empathy there, is there? The devil card is feeling trapped. So you don't feel trapped anymore. You might go, but the devil's there. Yeah, but look at your other card. It's the past. You're out of that. Oh, but it doesn't feel like it. Remember what I said. You're going to have to heal from that. But you need to take time. You don't want to say, oh gosh, I'm not moving on. You've got to realise it, to know that I am in a different space, and encourage it to happen because you're aware of it. Doesn't mean you have to just jump, but you don't stay either. That's what the Three of Swords is. It's acknowledge the pain, but make sure that you're aware that you know that this is over, and so better things are there. You may not believe it or feel it, but you need to remind yourself logically you're no longer in that space of that repetition. That can be hard when all we've ever had is more of the same. But everything changes. The universe makes sure that good, bad, or not, somewhere grey in the middle, that we can't stay static with what we've got. And people say, oh, hold on a minute, better the devil I know. Something in you changed, where you went, no, nothing to lose. The change is there. How will that affect them? When we change, it changes. Yeah? When we change, it changes. It's as simple as that. So when things start to change, it's because you're going, hold on a minute, I'm just not feeling afraid about that anymore. I'm not brave or courageous, but you know what? I know how this goes and I feel better. Therefore, you're more in control. And that's also part of what this pair means. You're much more in control based on what's happened in the past. You might know more about what you don't want and what you won't put up with, more than what you will put up with. When we change it and you become the puppet master of your own life, and you may, as I said, not have all the answers, but it's a logical one. How do we know it's a logical one? That second card. So this has just been using the Three of Swords over and over to show how much it can change, rather than dwelling on what you can't change. But you're aware that you must allow yourself the healing of that, which is so important, because it wasn't nice. And who's going to take care of the situation if you don't? If you don't care about you, you're putting yourself back into a situation where you're not nurturing yourself. You're good with people. You have the ability. Use that. It's very important that you look at the qualities you have and how people will respond to that. People are people. If you're genuine and they're genuine, you've got magic. But don't expect to meet yourself always coming the other way, which you probably know, based on experience that not everyone is you. Justice card, what's happening at work for me? The scales of justice are now going to show you that fairness is coming in. The justice card is about relationships, all of our relationships, not just the fuzzy ones or the romantic ones. But it's also to do with balance, a lot of legal things too, but the balance in our lives. Balance and the fairness. Fairness is also part of justice. You've been through the awfulness, and we know it was awful. Come on, look at that Three of Swords. It's not a pretty card. It's what you've been through, but the balance is readdressing itself. And relationships with other people will improve based on what you've learned and how skilled you've become in your communication, recognizing your own difficulties or lack of skills, and encouraging that to become much better. The Justice card talks about our relationships completely changing from what they were in the past, and we know it's got to be for the better. The Three of Swords is saying it was awful, and it's broken your heart, and it's really broken you mentally, and it's probably had a really tough knock on your relationships, because we've got the Justice card. If we do the same thing, we're going to get the same results. Sometimes people are not ready. Not today, not tomorrow, not next week, not ever. But some are. And that is their journey and their timing. And they can choose. And we're not here to make people do things. They've got to do things at their own pace. And so the Justice card is talking about they probably do want a balanced relationship with their colleagues at work. They didn't feel that in the past. They felt it was very unfair. But going forwards now, things are changing. And yeah, it's very much about being able to get the balance back in their life with other people. The Suit of Swords, communication. Don't forget, part of communication is our thinking. What I am saying to you is, if you change your thinking, your communication changes, because you say things in more of a logical way, a clearer way, less misunderstandings, giving clarity, balance, harmony, based on the fact that you don't want to go back to how it was. So you are trying to make certain that nothing is misunderstood. And when we are clear, we attract more of that energy. And the energy in this case is the element of communication with others. So in order for things to change, we need to change. And we can only do that when we are ready. No, never let anyone force you or push you. We navigate from the beginning to the end of that whole cycle of thinking. Thinking is what can get us into trouble. Once our thinking is clear and we are clear about being understood, crystal clear. I want balance, I want fairness, I want equality. I'm not going to be treated like that. Because based on the past, it was everything but that. And when you show up and say, that's the deal, people will say, tough, we're going to offer you more of what you had before. And you go, oh, thank you. So you've got another choice, and you keep going until you find someone that goes, absolutely, you're exactly what we're looking for. So it will happen. But we also have to be part of that process in our communication of how we respond to other people. Once you use another card like the Justice card there, relationships been very disappointing. I've had a whole history of feeling misunderstood. It's not been balanced, been one-way streets. You really felt it mentally. It's been really painful. It's almost like somebody's deliberately in relationships at work, or your siblings, or your family, or your co-workers, or even your partner. It's like they're deliberately trying to misunderstand you. When you change, it changes, and that's like, yeah, the balance is here. I'm really not out to cause any miscommunication or misinform you. I'd like balance, and yeah, it changes just with those 2 cards on the screen, of course. If you are interested in tarot, just read, just look at things. Go onto my website, pick up the free tools on there, look at some of the workbooks that's on there, and yeah, watch this, because it's all free and you can take part in it. And anything you're not sure on, you've got the gift of being able to ask this community and me, of course. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a wonderful week, and bye for now.